McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop, Episode 23. Betrayed. September 28th, 1921. Continued. "Didn't you know," Wrath said, "Ariana is a night enthusiast." I frowned. I looked over at her. "Ariana, you didn't run into anyone today, did you? You didn't run into Renfield, or—" My throat closed up. I laced my hands together. I was starting to shake, starting to be unable to talk. "You didn't deliberately. You didn't run into any night enthusiasts today, did you?" "Just the one in the mirror," Wrath said. "Shut up, Wrath," Ariana said. Her quick use of his name made my stomach cramp up. "Ariana," I said. "I didn't become a night enthusiast today, Maud," she said. We stared at each other. "I made you a magic unusual," I said. "Your eyes were brown when we met. They weren't hazel. You didn't have the green. You weren't a night enthusiast. You weren't even a magic unusual." Ariana stepped towards me softly. Even in the dim light, I could still make out the color of her eyes. They were brown. "You can't make someone a magic unusual by handing them a nickel, Maud," she said. "You have to do it deliberately. That was all rigged. I can change my appearance at will, in small ways. That's my special power. I changed my eyes so you wouldn't know what I was, and I became your friend, and—" Ariana stopped. "And I really did become your friend. I'm sorry." The words of Mr. McGillicuddy crashed back into me, as well as the words of Noble James. The night enthusiasts had changed their plan, and I had been betrayed. For days, they'd had no intention of capturing me, or kidnapping me, and dragging me back to their lair. They'd been spying. "You wanted to get to Mr. McGillicuddy, didn't you?" I said. Ariana nodded. "We felt sure he'd try to contact you, especially if he thought you had a vulnerable friend." "So I was bait," I said. "And a prize," Ariana said. "We want you too." "Is that supposed to make me feel better?" I said. "Don't look at me like that," Ariana said. "Why?" I said. "Because you don't deserve it? Because you do deserve it. You're a night enthusiast. What did you kill? What? What part of you is dead? What part of your soul is missing? Loyalty? Empathy?" "It's not empathy," Ariana said. "What happens now?" I said. "Now that you know Mr. McGillicuddy is never coming. Are you going to kill me? Are you going to lock me up in the night enthusiast's cave?" Ariana shot Wrath a venomous look. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." "No," I said. "I suppose not." I had a half-mad, half-wooden man to thank for the fact that her plan was ruined. "Ariana," I said, "Mr. McGillicuddy said that I should leave this city and never come back. I came back first because I didn't want to leave you. But now I'm leaving somewhere you'll never find me and you'll never see me again." Before she could stop me, I stepped behind a wardrobe and teleported. It was as simple as that. They could no longer see me behind the wardrobe, and I was free to go. I landed outside the Vatican, because that was the only specific place, far away, that I'd been able to think of in a split second. I sat down on the cobblestones and bawled my eyes out. Sitting here now, alone, writing this entry. There's a grim inevitability to all of this. When my parents died, I felt like loneliness had worked itself into my bloodstream, that no matter what I did, on some level, I would always be deeply alone. For a few days, I'd believed differently, and it was a trick of the night enthusiasts. And I don't want to be anymore. I don't want to be, or do, or think, or possibly write in this diary ever again. September 29th, 1921. Dry up, my little Maudie. That's what my father always said to me. Dry up, my little Maudie, and let's see what we can do. When you're still a girl, and you lose your parents, you don't know how to pick yourself up. They always did it for you. On some level, you believe that you will never pick yourself up again. They're not there to show you how, so how can you do it all alone? But I'm writing again, so you must imagine, things have picked up. I wandered the Vatican, feeling lost and bewildered. The statues of the saints didn't seem reassuring up there, looking down at me. They would have, if I'd been on vacation, like they were standing up there waiting to welcome me to heaven after death. Hello, down there. Your parents are up here. You'll be home again, someday. But I was so far from home, from being reunited with anyone, that the saints all seemed to be staring awkwardly down at me, like they didn't quite know what to do. I sat down on a bench and watched the pigeons waddle past, and I wondered if I'd find the life, or if I'd turn into a homeless old street urchin. I was in the Vatican. Maybe I should become a nun. I did not become a nun, or a pigeon nanny, or any of the other things fate might have been cruel enough to dole out. Instead of sinking into eternal apathy, I looked up at the sky and said a prayer. If I meant, I said, to have a life again, to have a family again, to not be alone anymore, then please send a sign. Something really, really obvious. Because I'm not sure I'll have the courage to find that life unless I know it's out there. No more disappointments. Well, the timing was impeccable. A group of night enthusiasts landed across the courtyard from me. For a minute, I just stared, stupefied. Then I spun around and hid behind the bench. The night enthusiasts were some distance away. They hadn't spotted me yet. Ariana had cast a skull spell on me, the little minx. They knew where I'd teleported to next. That was probably my fault, for announcing that I was going to leave and never come back. I was envious of Ariana. All this time, she'd known how to cast skull spells, while I knew next to nothing. She was the one who'd cast the skull spell on me in the park. She'd sent the man to hand me that note about Wrath being a murderer. She wanted me to think he was a murderer, so I'd stay far away and never learn who she really was. Well, I knew. And at that moment, I spotted her in the courtyard. She'd come with her crew of night enthusiasts. They went left and right, but she just stood there. She let the other night enthusiasts disperse, and then, when it was just the two of us, she strode forward. She'd known where I was the whole time. I stood up and faced her. I felt slimy and confused, because I loved this girl like a sister, and she turned out to be something completely different. I came back for you, Ariana said. To put me in a cell somewhere, I said. Well, yes, Ariana said, but also because I couldn't let you leave. I really am your friend, Maud. I'm your enemy because I'm a night enthusiast, but as a person, I'm your friend. You're very good at lying to me, Ariana, I said. In response, she dashed across the courtyard and seized me in a hug. I hugged her back, not sure what else to do. I was reminded of all the times she'd seemed torn or confused in the pawn shop, and I wondered if she really was my friend. She hadn't expected to become one, but had she? And now we were on opposite sides of a subtle war, and friends or not. For the time being, she was choosing the war over me. We're going to take you back to the cave, Ariana said. The night enthusiast headquarters. What if I escape you again? I said. I already cast a skull spell on you, Ariana said. If you leave from here, we'll know where you're headed next. Not if I teleport 6 times in a row. Ariana held my hand. Maud, please, stay. Listen to me. I think you should come with us. Give me one good reason. I'll give you 10. Ariana began to talk, slowly, almost as if she was talking me down from a cliff edge. When I was young, I had no one. I was lonely, like you. Then, I met the night enthusiasts. And they were evil, I said. And they were evil. Ariana nodded slowly. That's right. Something felt odd about the way she was talking to me, like I was being lulled to sleep. Too late. I looked behind me. The whole troop of night enthusiasts had been sneaking up on me. I was surrounded. We hope you've enjoyed episode 23, Betrayed, of McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop. McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop is written and performed by Minerva Sweeney Wren, all rights reserved. Please subscribe, share it with your friends, and support Minerva Sweeney Wren at patreon.com/SweeneyWren. McGillicuddy and Murder's Pawn Shop will continue next week with episode 24. And now, we wait.